Hello friends, welcome back to Carla's Kitchen. Today I'm showing you how to do a cheesesteak with pepper and onion sliders. I've got quite a few ingredients out here, and there is one ingredient I'm not showing right now, and that's simply because it's still in the oven roasting. So I am roasting some garlic, fresh garlic, so that I can use that with the butter to go over top of the sliders at the very end. So once that's done, you'll see that appear. I'll link to that separate video in the description if anyone's interested on how to do that. If you don't already know, we'll have that available. Otherwise, I'm going to run through the ingredients left to right as usual. I've got olive oil, fresh ground black pepper. I've got Cajun seasoning just for the meat. I like to give it a little extra oomph. I've got Italian seasoning, onion powder, garlic powder. I'm using garlic powder today, and I'm not adding salt because I am using Parmesan cheese. I'm using 3 types of cheese, and so that's going to provide plenty of salt. So I'm skipping it on the seasoning side and adding it with another ingredient. I've got a whole stick of butter out here, but really you're only going to need about a tablespoon or 2. It depends on how many sliders you're going to make. I'm making just enough for the family for tonight, so we might even have a couple left over out of what I've got laid out. So, you know, always gauge the recipe to your taste, your liking, and your size family that you have. I've got flat meat for sandwiches. It's not Steak-'em, but you could Steak-'em makes it. So whatever brand you go with, you know, it's just the meat that we're gonna bust up and put in there. Instead of doing a ground beef, I'm just doing the flat beef instead, and we're gonna do that up. I've got 2 bell peppers, whatever kind you like. If you want to go all green bell pepper, absolutely. And I've got a whole yellow onion that we're doing. In addition to that, obviously cutting board and knife. I've got a mixing bowl because I'm going to put the onion and peppers in there once they're cut up, and I've got my sliders out. Whatever type of slider roll you like to use, go for it. Again, none of these guys are paying me. I'm just telling you what I'm using and why I use it. I've got King Hawaiian rolls because I like a little sweet with my savory. So the Hawaiian rolls provide that. And what you want to do is go ahead and pull as many as you'll need out of the pack, and then run a bread knife through and separate. You can leave them all hooked together. It's going to make it easier for assembly, but separate some tops and bottoms there so that you can assemble the sliders before they go into the oven. Okay, so did I skip the cheeses? I did. I just said 3 cheeses and I didn't say what they were. Sorry. I've got a grated Parmesan, I've got a sliced provolone, and a shredded mozzarella. So we're gonna cheese it up on these guys in a couple of different ways. First things first, I'm going to start by chopping up the onion and pepper, and I'm going to do those sliced julienne and put them in the mixing bowl so that I can have everything kind of hit the stove at the same time. So I'll be right back with that done. Okay gang, we're back. Whoops. Hope you can still see everything. I just kicked kicked my whole setup here. So I've got everything sliced up. I've got the onions and the peppers sliced up. They're in the bowl here. I'm just sort of mixing them around to break the onions up a little bit. And you can slice as thick or as thin as you like. You just want to pick a size and roll with it so everything kind of cooks at the same time, so one thing doesn't burn while the other's still, you know, coming up to the way that you like it. So because I like my peppers to still have a little snap to them, they're a little bit wider than the onion slices are. And now I'm going to go in with olive oil. You can drizzle if you don't have a sprayer, not a big deal. Just going with what I've got here. Mix it around again, make sure everything is good and coated. Oop. Needs another spray. That looks a lot better. Alrighty, so everything is glistening and covered in olive oil. So next we're going to take garlic powder. Heavy or as light as you like, cook to your taste. And then I'm going to go in with onion powder. Even though there's onions in here, yes, I'm still adding onion powder. because I want the flavor to show up against the meat and the cheeses and the buns and everything that we're doing in here. And I'm going to take a little bit of the Italian seasoning and just pop it into my hand. So maybe a teaspoon. Smush it up finely, put it in the bowl, and then mix everything up to spread those seasonings around. Hopefully you should see the Italian seasoning, if nothing else. Get down. So before the dog tried to jump on the counter and make off with my meat, I was saying you should see the Italian seasoning pretty much coating everything. Once you've stirred enough, it's harder to see the onion powder and garlic powder. So not the only reason I do it, but that is a good way to tell that you've sufficiently stirred everything. And then if you like, you can add some fresh cracked pepper as well. So even though we have peppers in the dish and we have onion in the dish, I have added pepper flavor and onion flavor. I'm aware. Okay, and everything goes fine. I give it one more mix, and then that's ready to go into the skillet. Once the skillet is nice and hot, and you want to coat your skillet with a little bit more oil. Even though there's oil on the veggies, you want to go ahead and make sure that the oil, the skillet has a little bit of oil, butter, whatever your nonstick agent of choice is, in there, just to keep everything from sticking and burning to the pan. So I'm going to go over and get my pans ready, and then I'm going to meet you at the stove. Okay, gang, I've got my pans heating up here over a medium heat. Let me give it a little water test to see what temperature is looking like. And the water's dancing on pan 1 as well as pan 2. We're good to go. Okay. So again, you want to go ahead and coat your pans. Normally I would pull it away from the flame to spray it, but didn't do that this time. So always be safe. Let's see, I left a drop a little water in there. So that's what's making the sizzle. Not a big deal. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and got the oil in the first pan here. That form a little seal. And we're going to add the onions and turn my flame down a little bit. And here on my second pan, I'm just starting to break up the sandwich piece flat into the pan. You can chop them if you want to use a knife. At this point, I let them sit on the counter for just a few minutes, but they're pretty easy to break up with your hand. I'm going to continue doing that until I have all of the meat stood up here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of Cajun seasoning. I like Cajun seasoning. Obviously, if you watch any of my videos, you can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and get the meat cooked. I'm going to stir the onions and peppers until they're cooked. And then we'll meet you back at the assembly station. As your meat and your onions and peppers are coming up to done on the stovetop, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350. We want to take the bread and go ahead and, again, leaving all the pieces attached, but separate tops from bottoms, placing the sliced side up on your sheet pan. And we're going to pop the bread in the oven for 3-4 minutes. We just want to toast it ever so slightly, because as we add wet ingredients like the meat and the onions and peppers to the bread and then pop it back in the oven, we don't want the bread to just completely sog out or, fall apart on you as you go to try to eat it. So a couple of things we're going to do to combat that, and the first step is to pop the bread into the oven 3-4 minutes at 350. Okay, gang, it's assembly time. So I've got the onions and peppers fresh off the stovetop. They're cooked about to my liking. The onions have started to turn yellow, translucent. the peppers are cooked but still have a little crisp to them. Again, cook them, you know, as long or as short as you like. If you like crispier peppers, go shorter. If you like your peppers to be more mushy, go for it. Cook them a little bit longer. I've got the meat off the stove top, and I've already drained off as much grease as I could get out of there, so that's ready to go. The last thing I want to get going here is my topping. So I've got 3 cloves of oven roasted garlic, and you know, again, to your taste. If you don't like that much garlic, just use a little bit. If you don't like it at all, omit it and just go with the butter. And I'm just sort of mixing these together here a little bit. I am going to throw it into the microwave for a minute just to melt that butter down. But first I want to smash that garlic up and get it sort of incorporated with the butter a little bit better. I don't want a whole giant garlic clove on one slider. So I'm going to mix that around, make sure it's good and incorporated. The garlic is smashed well, and it should smash really easily. The garlic will. The butter depends on how long you left it out of the fridge for. And in my case, I put it back in the fridge a little while ago. So that was my mistake. But you can see that it's pretty well incorporated now. I don't see whole cloves anymore. So we're going to go ahead and nuke that real quick, get the cheese out, bring the bread over, and start to put these together. Okay, assembly time, folks. We are just going to start by putting out sliced provolone. I didn't grab enough slice. My mistake. We're just going to layer the sliced provolone along the bottom. It looks like I'm going to have to overlap here just a skosh to get all of it covered. And I'm doing slices on the bottom because this is going to be just another, we've already toasted the bread slightly, but this is going to provide just an extra barrier to keep from getting overly soggy. It's okay if they hang off a little bit. It'll just melt down the edge of the buns. So I'm going to do that here so that we have sufficient overlap, and each slider is going to be cheesy and delicious. Okay, and then next, it's really your choice. Do you want to go with the meat or the peppers next? I'm going to go meat. I'm going to leave a couple empty there at the bottom for the non-meat eater in our household. Make a mess, just throw it back on there. I've got parchment paper down. You don't have to use it, but it does make cleanup a little bit easier as well. Your choice. I'm going to leave one row so I get a little bit more meat on there. On the sandwich, not the pan. Okay, come on. Okay, so it looks like we're 369 with meat, 3 without. That should cover us for the way we Next I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a little bit of Parmesan. It gives you the salty and it gives you the flavor. I've got grated, whatever type you like. If you don't like it, don't add it. I'm going to sprinkle a little on top as well when I'm finished. So next we're going to add in some of the pepper and onion mixture that goes on everything. Go as heavy or as light as you like. Trying to make sure the end with no meat gets plenty of something on there, so it's not just a cheese sandwich. There we go. Oh. Got escapees here. I'm just going to use my hand for ease of getting it done. Okay. And then I'm going to go in over the meat with pepper and onion. It's a little tricky to spread it out once you get it on there, so try to kind of spread it as you're dropping it on there. Otherwise you're going to end up moving the meat around as well. And again, guys, heavy or as light as you like. If you do not like this much pepper and onion, don't put that much on yours. Totally up to you. I just had a big scoop full of just onion, so I put it back and it reached in to get some more peppers in there. And try to separate that out a little bit here and make sure we have a good combination of everything. And if some fall to the side, you know, pick them up and put them back on there, let them cook off to the side, up to you. So that's a pretty good layer. The last thing I'm going to do is go in with some shredded mozzarella. And then I'm going to put my lid on and do that up and we go into the oven. Okay, forgot to open the mozzarella bag, so paused recording to do that so you didn't have to hear me fight with the bag. And we're just going to go in and again, you know, as little or as much as you like. This is going to be the gooey that helps to hold it all together. And add some flavor as well. Now on the meat side, I've got it kind of heaping, so it's proving a little challenging to get the mozzarella all the way to the edge without it just falling onto the sheet pan. Push it down in there a little bit if you need to. Okay. And I have spilled some off to the edges here. You can either take it and put it back on, or you can just let it off to the side. That's the advantage to having everything on the parchment paper. You don't have to worry about it if it sticks and burns. Oh well, you just throw the parchment paper away when you're done anyways. Put your lid on, give it just a slight firming, and then you're going to take your butter and garlic mixture and just spread that across on top here. And if you do have a big chunk of garlic like that, you want to make sure you kind of move it around so it's not all on one bite. And make sure we have a nice good coating on the top of all of the buns here. Don't forget the nooks and crannies in between. We left everything together and it's just going to be like a pull apart bread when we're done. Except it's sandwiches. Wow, that's a lot of garlic all in one spot. So I'm going to move that around, let some of it fall off to the side there. And make sure down in the crevices we have all that good flavor. And then the next step, you can take it or leave it, depending on what your tastes are, since we've already added some to the sandwich anyways. I'm just getting around the edges here. Okay. Last step, we're going to take the Parmesan and just go lightly across the top. More flavor, a little more salty flavor. I used unsalted butter, so it's not going to hurt to have a little Parmesan on there. And then we go into the 350 oven until everything is browned up and the cheese is melty. Check it after 5-10 minutes. I would say 15 is probably as long as you're going to need because we've already pre-cooked all of the meat and everything. And after you have your your sliders melted as much as you like, pull them out of the oven. You'll find a little bit of crisp to the bread, and you can either slice or just grab and pull apart and enjoy that goodness. Look at all that melty cheese. I would serve with fries, chips, tater tots, whatever you and your family like. Do try it out. Hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon. Bye-bye.